Hello, and welcome to Inspire. As a sex and intimacy coach, my job is to help folks bring more light, consciousness, and awareness to bear on the subtle and gross aspects of their embodiment, how they exist, how they move, and how they interact with and within their bodies. There's a play on a proverb by Confucius that I have hanging in my study. It says that if there is light in the soul, there will be beauty in the person. If there is beauty in the person, there will be harmony in the house. If there is harmony in the house, there will be order in the nation. And if there is order in the nation, there will be peace in the world. Part of bringing consciousness or light to bear on how we exist in our bodies is by recognizing the resistances we encounter during our daily lives. These can be emotional, physical, spiritual, and/or sexual in nature. I encourage my clients not to force their way through resistances when they encounter them during our work together. Like a stop sign or a traffic light, resistances serve as opportunities to slow down, take notice, and inquire. Damage is often done when we refuse to heed these resistances or choose to circumvent them altogether. However, resistances are often our most faithful and greatest of teachers. One of the most potent resistances that my clients, and probably some of you, encounter is shame. And this is what I'm dedicating this talk to. Because this is such a broad topic, I will be committing at least 2 talks and videos to this discussion. In this video, I will be discussing what shame is and what shame is not, what some of its elements and qualities are, and how it manifests in the body and within community. In the second video, I will be providing deeper examples of how shame affects the body and the mind and how to work with this powerful resistance. It's important to know that shame is not the same as guilt. Guilt is a judgment passed on a particular action. The message here is you've done something wrong. Guilt is the breaking of some legal, societal, or communal law or convention. It is a state of action. You either are guilty of doing something or you are not guilty of doing something. Shame, on the other hand, is a judgment passed on someone's character. The message here is you are wrong. Who you are as a person is wrong. How you feel is wrong. What you think is wrong, etc. In both cases, without proper mediation and inquiry, the spirit of both shame and guilt is negative and deleterious or harmful. Another thing to remember is that shame, like most negative feelings, is a symptom and container for fear. Shame is nothing without fear, because the messages that shame provokes are based on diminishment of character. I am not good enough. I'm ugly. I'm not worthy. I'm a bad person. My opinions don't matter. My body doesn't measure up. I'm not enough. What is wrong with me? These shame messages debilitate and suffocate our natural behaviors and our unique and genuine expressions. Because we are so afraid of being found out or humiliated by some outside force, entity, or person, we consistently and constantly play small and turn what positive energy our unique expressions would elicit upon and against ourselves. We turn inward and ultimately begin attacking and destroying ourselves because we ultimately fear that if we don't, someone else will. Our culture, unfortunately, is littered with shame messages. Rarely do we hear or see an advertisement that celebrates our uniqueness. Instead, we are constantly bombarded with messages of how we aren't measuring up, how we aren't good enough unless we buy X, Y, or Z product. This message is ultimately destructive. A perfect quote that illustrates this comes from the book Tuesdays with Morrie. It says, "The culture we have does not make people feel good about themselves. And you have to be strong enough to say, if the culture doesn't work, don't buy it." Understand, that shame adversely affects not only the body, but also the psyche, and its effects can be very subtle. I like to think of the body more as a channel rather than a long-term energetic reservoir. We channel energy through our bodies in the form of food, information, and sensation, whether they be good or bad for us. On a physical level, this is why we don't go around holding our breath or urine for extended periods of time, and this is also why constipation is bad. What comes into the body must do its work, then leave, or be dismissed outright. Energy must be channeled out if more is to be allowed in. Shame, however, disrupts this natural flow of energetic giving and receiving. The flow gets dammed, and shame turns us into self-destructive accomplices through the self-policing of our own bodies and desires. We never let anyone see us for who we truly are. We never ask for what we truly want, and we never share our deepest desires with others. We fear ultimate vulnerability. Shame's message of suppression ultimately lead to emotional, physical, sexual, and psychological depression. This cannot be understated. Your suppression, or what you suppress or press down, will lead to your depression. So let me go over how shame adversely affects the body's 7 major chakras and energy centers, and how it disrupts our sense of home. At the 7th, or crown chakra, shame disconnects us from community and oneness. Shame is the very language of disconnection. Its messages are ones of self-loathing and reproach. We either remove ourselves or are afraid of others because we believe we aren't good enough for other folks to be around. We cower in fear from the potential of ridicule and judgment. At the 6th, or third eye chakra, shame dulls and shackles our minds from thinking for ourselves, thinking outside of the box, or challenging convention, and imagining a different future. Shame is often at the foundation of groupthink. At the 5th, or throat chakra, shame silences our voices from speaking up for what we believe in and speaking out for what we want. We fear our opinions will be shunned, dismissed, judged, or ridiculed. At the 4th, or heart chakra, shame hardens and chills the heart from feeling love and compassion for ourselves and others, and instead replaces it with self-pity and grief. Shame literally severs our connection to our emotions, because we fear that if we express them, they could be used against us. At the 3rd, or solar plexus chakra, shame saps our power to be proactive and our ability to manifest what we want to see and experience in the world. Shame is the enemy of self-esteem and confidence. Shame freezes our ability to act. At the 2nd, or sacral chakra, shame numbs our pleasure centers and our ability to feel and sensually perceive the world around us. Shame demonizes our sexuality, demonizes our genders, and demonizes our eroticism, calling it evil and unclean. And at the 1st, or root chakra, shame ultimately cripples and destabilizes our sense of security and safety and who we are and our place in the world. It seriously rocks the very foundation of our existence and our right to be on this planet. Shame's primary message here is that we are not safe. Now within community, shame wears a different face. Community can be a place where people heal from shame, but too often community is a bastion of shame. Even amongst marginalized groups that have been adversely affected by gross societal messages that we aren't good enough. Shame is one of the most vicious enemies of diversity and authenticity because its fundamental expression within community is often uniformity and staunch adherence and obedience to a convention, tradition, or communal identity. Too often the desire to be included in a group supersedes all expressions of individuality. When shame becomes so pervasive within an individual or group, it is said to have become internalized. This is when shame's ultimate objective becomes clear: reproduction. Think of a tree. A tree takes sustenance through the roots, into the trunk, the branches, leaves, and finally bears fruit. We call this fruit produce, that which is created. The tree will continue to produce fruit until such a time as its sustenance fails or changes, but the tree will only be able to produce from that which it takes in. In the same way, once shame is eternalized, once it becomes our futile sustenance, we will only be able to reproduce or produce again what has been given us. We can only give that which we have. And this is why many marginalized groups that are fleeing societal shame often fall into the trap of reproducing amongst themselves the same shame they were attempting to flee. They can only give what they have, and you can't give that which you don't. Unfortunately, because shame is such an integral part of our joint cultural tapestry, there's hardly an individual or community that is void of these shame messages. But here's the good news. It doesn't have to be this way. And that's why I feel so passionate about the work that I do, helping folks reconnect to their deepest and authentic sense of connection, knowing their voice, emotions, power, sensuality, and security. And this is what I'll be discussing further in part 2. So if this video speaks to you, please subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for upcoming talks. And please leave your comments below and tell me what you think. Also, check out our website at www.spiritualeros.com or drop us an email at spiritual.eros@gmail.com. I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you so much for watching. Take care and God bless.